The hidden truth about your liver, what you absolutely need to know before it's too late. Friends, I want to talk to you about one of your body's true unsung heroes, your liver. It's silently working away, day in and day out, performing over 500 vital functions. But here's the unsettling truth. If we don't treat this incredible organ with the care it deserves, it can silently transform from a vibrant, healthy workhorse into something far more troubling: a fatty liver, then cirrhosis, and ultimately, liver failure. This isn't just medical jargon. It's a real, often devastating journey that far too many people are unknowingly on. Your liver is your body's primary detoxifier. It used to be that we primarily linked fatty liver to alcohol, but in today's world, if your liver is struggling with fat, the chances are incredibly high that the real culprits are the very foods you've been eating. Navigating the maze of confusion, separating fact from fiction. I hear it constantly in my practice. People are utterly overwhelmed and frustrated by the sheer volume of conflicting health information out there. You read countless articles, listen to well-meaning advice, but much of it is often incomplete or just plain wrong. My goal today is to clear up that confusion, to give you the straightforward, accurate information you need to truly care for your liver and stop feeling lost. First, let's talk about what not to eat, and in doing so, we'll debunk some common myths. When I look at what's often recommended, the first thing I frequently hear is advice to avoid sodium because it causes water retention. Now, it's true that water follows sodium in your body. That's basic biology. But this only becomes a problem if your body can't regulate sodium properly, perhaps due to a hormone issue, an endocrine tumor, or kidney failure. For the vast majority of us, however, our bodies are perfectly capable of managing sodium intake, and it truly has little to do with developing a fatty liver. So that particular recommendation, you can simply disregard it. Next up, added sugar. Added sugar. On this point, I couldn't agree more with the common advice: avoid it. Added sugar is a significant driver of liver fat. We'll delve deeper into why this happens, but for now, consider this an undeniable truth for avoidance. Then there's red meat. Many sources tell you to steer clear because it's high in saturated fat. While red meat is high in saturated fat, this isn't the problem you might think it is. We'll talk more about how your body handles fats in a moment, but suffice it to say, the claim that red meat is inherently bad for your liver due to saturated fat, that's incorrect. And what about fried foods? You're often told to avoid them because of high fat and calorie content. Now, this one deserves a closer look. While it's true that fried foods generally aren't a great choice, it's usually not about the calories or just the amount of fat. The real issue is the quality of the oils used. Nearly all commercially fried foods use highly processed vegetable or plant oils. These oils are naturally very unstable and heat sensitive. To make them withstand the high temperatures of frying, they undergo harsh processing. They're oxidized, bleached, and deodorized. This renders them toxic and rancid before they even hit your plate. That's the real reason to avoid them. If you were to occasionally enjoy something fried at home, using stable saturated fats like lard or coconut oil, that would be an entirely different story. Unraveling the mystery: what truly causes a fatty liver? Let's address a widespread misconception: the idea that you are what you eat. It's often used to suggest that eating saturated fat directly translates to storing saturated fat in your body. But that's not quite how our intricate biological machinery works. Consider a cow. We know cow meat and tissues contain a good amount of saturated fat, but what does a cow eat? Grass. Cows don't consume saturated fat in their diet. Yet through a process called biotransformation, that grass is converted into saturated fat within the cow's body. If this remarkable transformation happens in a cow, why would it be so different for us humans? In humans, the saturated fat in our bodies doesn't necessarily come directly from the saturated fat we eat. Instead, it's primarily a result of excess fuel. When we consistently eat more calories than our bodies need, that surplus energy is converted into fat for storage. This process is particularly pronounced when this excess fuel is accompanied by excess insulin. Insulin, as you might recall, is our body's primary storage hormone. It essentially tells our cells, store this energy. And in humans, this is how we end up with saturated fat in our tissues. There's a lot of confusion because studies often show that a liver full of saturated fat is also insulin resistant. This is true, but it's crucial to understand the direction of cause and effect. It's not the saturated fat that causes insulin resistance. It's the other way around. The excess fuel and insulin create the saturated fat. And once the liver becomes overloaded and congested with this fat, it then becomes insulin resistant. It's a critical distinction. For us to truly understand which foods to avoid, we must grasp the genuine root cause of a fatty liver. It all comes down to overwhelm. When we ask our liver to do more than it can possibly handle, it gets congested. And what congests the liver? Substances that only the liver can process. If every cell in your body can handle something, it's far less likely to become a burden. But if the liver is the only organ responsible, things can back up very quickly. Alcohol. This is the most well-known culprit, and for good reason. It's why alcohol consumption is regulated and restricted. Our bodies have to prioritize processing alcohol, and that puts a significant strain on the liver. Fructose. While many people understand that sugar is bad, very few realize the primary reason. Common white sugar is 50% fructose. If you consume 100 grams of sugar in a day, which is surprisingly easy for many people to do, you're giving your liver 50 grams of fructose. And fructose can only be processed by the liver, making it a major congesting agent. Toxins. Your liver is your primary filter for toxins, but if it's already overwhelmed dealing with alcohol and fructose, its ability to process and eliminate other toxins becomes severely impaired. These toxins then build up, adding to the liver's burden. Insulin. While insulin doesn't directly cause fatty liver, it's a significant aggravator once the liver is already compromised. If you have a fatty liver and your lifestyle maintains consistently high insulin levels, insulin, being a storage hormone, actively prevents fat burning within the liver. It perpetuates that vicious cycle of insulin resistance. Simply put, you can't truly heal a fatty liver if your insulin levels remain stubbornly high. Now that we understand these core mechanisms, the path to protecting your liver becomes remarkably clear. Avoid alcohol. This one is obvious. Avoid all sugar, and I mean all sugar, both added and natural. There's a common misconception that natural sugar from fruit is fundamentally different from added sugar. It's not. The liver treats fructose from an apple the same way it treats fructose from a soda. The difference is largely in quantity. A few berries here and there are fine, but if you're consuming large quantities of watermelon, bananas, mangoes, or pineapple, thinking you're doing yourself a favor, you're mistaken. It's still fructose, and it still congests the liver if consumed in excess. Limit starches. Starches break down into glucose, which spikes blood sugar and, in turn, stimulates insulin. If you have a fatty liver, your insulin levels are likely already too high. Starches, whether natural, like rice or potatoes, or processed, will continue to drive those levels up. Processed starches are worse because they're stripped of fiber and absorbed even faster, but even whole grains are primarily glucose. Absolutely avoid foods fried in plant oils. As we discussed, these vegetable oils are oxidized and toxic. They directly damage and strain the liver. If you do enjoy fried foods occasionally, use stable, saturated fats. It's important to differentiate between maintaining health and reversing a condition. If you're generally healthy and insulin sensitive, your body can tolerate a certain amount of these foods. But if you're trying to reverse a fatty liver and address high insulin levels, you must be far stricter. Your body is in a different state, and it requires a different approach. Decoding superfoods and understanding what truly helps. The term superfood is incredibly popular, almost magical. But I have a real problem with the very concept. Let's think about it. If you were being exposed to a poison daily, say mercury, could you take a vitamin to truly become healthy? No. As long as the exposure continues, you'll get sicker. That vitamin might offer minor relief, but you won't heal until the poison is removed. It's the same with a polluted lake. If the fish are dying, can you just add an antioxidant and expect them to become healthy again? Of course not. As long as toxins are pouring in, nothing you add will clean up that lake. The source of the problem must be stopped. When we talk about superfoods, we often miss this crucial big picture. We're conditioned to think like we do with medicine: symptom, then remedy. We have a problem, we take something for it, and the symptom goes away. We feel better, but the underlying dysfunction often continues. That remedy hasn't fixed what's missing or removed what's interfering. It's just blocked the signal. In the holistic model, which is how I approach health, we focus on the root cause. If something's missing, we provide it. If something's interfering, we help the body eliminate it. This not only relieves symptoms, but actually improves function. Your body works better because the real problem has been addressed. So, while I don't believe in superfoods in the magical sense, I absolutely believe in good foods that support your body and bad foods that interfere. Here are some foods that truly make a difference for your liver, based on sound science and real-world results. 1. Unsaturated fats. A nuanced view. You constantly hear that saturated fat is bad and unsaturated fat is good, but it's not that simple. Monounsaturated fatty acids, MUFAs. These are macronutrients, meaning we consume them in substantial quantities for energy. Think extra virgin olive oil and the fat found in meat. Yes, meat is about half monounsaturated fat and half saturated fat. MUFAs are very good for us, provided they are minimally processed, like true extra virgin olive oil, which is cold pressed with minimal heat or pressure. These get a big green check mark: polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFAs. This is where the confusion arises. Unlike MUFAs, which are relatively stable, PUFAs are very unstable due to their molecular structure. To make them into oils for frying or salad dressings without tasting terrible, they undergo extremely harsh processing. This turns them into toxic, oxidized, and highly inflammatory oils. So, while some PUFAs, like omega-3s, which we'll discuss, are essential, turning these processed vegetable oils into a major part of your diet is a huge mistake. That part gets a big red X. 2. Soybeans and other beans. Proceed with caution. Beans often appear on healthy lists with vague claims like, may help with blood sugar. While some beans might be better than highly processed grains, that doesn't automatically make them a universally good food. A significant concern with soy is that most of it is now genetically modified, GMO. Furthermore, soy is a very common allergen. If you're sensitive to it, it can trigger inflammatory reactions that are counterproductive to liver health. My general recommendation is to be cautious with soy, unless it's fermented organic tofu or miso. For other beans, if you are insulin sensitive and tolerate them well, then a moderate amount may be okay. But if you have insulin resistance and a fatty liver, beans are unlikely to help and could even hinder your progress. 3. Oatmeal. Not as super as you think. Oatmeal often makes it onto lists of fiber-rich health foods. While it's certainly better than white bread, it's still primarily starch, which quickly breaks down into glucose and stimulates insulin. Many people are also sensitive to gluten, and conventional oats can contain gluten traces due to cross-contamination. Even certified gluten-free oats can cause a cross-reaction in some individuals whose immune systems confuse oat proteins with gluten. If you must have oats, choose steel-cut oats. They are the whole grain, broken down and absorbed much more slowly than highly processed instant oats, which are barely better than jelly beans. For reversing liver disease, I generally advise against oatmeal. If you're otherwise healthy and tolerate it well, a small amount might be acceptable, but don't consider it a liver-healing food. 4. Coffee, a mixed bag, but not a superfood. There's been a lot of research on coffee, often suggesting it may be protective against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. However, what's often missing is a clear understanding of why or how. My question is always, compared to what? If coffee drinkers show a benefit, what were the non-coffee drinkers consuming instead? Often, it's sugary sodas or sweet teas, so coffee simply becomes the lesser of two evils. I drink coffee myself, and I don't believe it's inherently bad for most people. If you have weak adrenals, perhaps limit your intake, but don't view coffee as some magical superfood that will reverse fatty liver. It's more about what you're not drinking when you choose coffee. 5. Walnuts and other nuts. Good, but not miraculous. Walnuts, along with other nuts like macadamias and pecans, are excellent foods. They are high in healthy fats and protein and low in carbohydrates. This combination makes them very satisfying, helping to reduce insulin and reverse insulin resistance. In that sense, I'm all for them. However, when they appear on superfood lists, it's often based on the idea of a magical molecule that will protect you or reverse disease. That's not how it works. While nuts are a great addition to a healthy diet, don't overdo them thinking that more is better or that they're a cure-all. 6. Omega-3 fatty acids, essential but with caveats. These are indeed essential polyunsaturated fatty acids that our bodies need in small, specific quantities. The best sources are often fish oil supplements or eating fatty fish. There's abundant evidence showing their anti-inflammatory properties and their role in addressing the root causes of metabolic syndrome, including fatty liver and cardiovascular disease. For that, they certainly get a big green check mark. However, there's a common misunderstanding that all omega-3s are equal. Flax oil, for example, contains omega-3s, but not the kind our bodies directly use, EPA and DHA. Our bodies must convert flax omega-3s, and if you're experiencing oxidative stress or insulin resistance, which is often the case with fatty liver, your conversion efficiency drops significantly. The people who most need EPA and DHA are often the ones least able to convert it from flax. So, while I enjoy flaxseed in moderation for other reasons, I don't rely on it for omega-3s. Think of omega-3s as a micronutrient, like a vitamin or mineral, needed for specific cellular functions, not as a major energy source. High-quality eggs, especially pastured eggs, can also be an excellent source of the right kind of omega-3s. If you don't have access to quality fish or eggs, a supplement is a wise choice. 7. Cruciferous greens, liver's best friends. Cruciferous vegetables are true powerhouses for liver health. These include foods like arugula, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, and even rutabaga. They contain unique plant compounds that actively assist your liver in its detoxification processes. As long as you tolerate them well, you can eat these freely. The only one to perhaps limit slightly if you're trying to reverse a condition is rutabaga, as it's a root vegetable with a bit more starch, though it's processed slowly. If you have sensitivities, listen to your body, but for most, these are incredibly beneficial. 8. Meat, a nutritional goldmine, surprisingly absent from most lists. This is one of my top recommendations, and it's conspicuously absent from almost every other superfood list out there. Why? Because of the pervasive, misguided fear of saturated fat and cholesterol. Meat is a phenomenal food packed with dense nutrition. It's incredibly rich, satisfying, and an outstanding source of protein. One key aspect I often discuss is food sensitivities. A food might be good in theory, but if your body reacts negatively to it, it's not good for you. This is why diets like the carnivore diet are gaining popularity. Many people discover that beef, in particular, is one of the least allergenic foods available. For those looking to avoid common triggers, red meat can be a safe haven. Meat is also a rich source of methionine, a sulfur-containing amino acid your body uses to produce glutathione, your body's most powerful antioxidant. Furthermore, meat contains both saturated and monounsaturated fats, both of which are highly stable. Once you move past the unwarranted fear of saturated fat and work on lowering your insulin, saturated fat becomes an excellent, non-inflammatory energy source. 9. Eggs, the unsung liver champion. It truly baffles me that eggs are rarely found on these superfood lists, again, likely due to the unfounded aversion to saturated fat and cholesterol. Yet eggs are an absolute nutritional powerhouse, offering many of the same benefits as meat. But what makes them truly stand out for liver health is their rich content of choline. Choline is a vital nutrient that acts as a catalyst for fat burning, directly helping your liver shed accumulated fat. Eggs are also packed with essential B vitamins, especially B6, B9, folate, and B12, which are crucial for converting a harmful inflammatory substance called homocysteine into beneficial methionine. As we just discussed, methionine then gets converted into glutathione, your body's most potent antioxidant. So not only do eggs provide the vitamins needed to process methionine, they are also a rich source of methionine itself. And let's not forget the essential fatty acids, EPA and DHA. If you get the good quality, pastured eggs, they're going to be many times higher in these essential fatty acids, very often enough to get your complete supply just from eggs. Without a doubt, eggs deserve a huge green checkmark. If you found this discussion helpful and want to truly master your health by understanding how your body really works, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to turn on all notifications so you never miss a life-saving video. Your health is your most valuable asset, and understanding how to protect your liver is a cornerstone of a long, vibrant life.